You mentioned, you know, how that had an impact, like how that had an effect on global consciousness on the planetary level. And I was wondering what you think that 2012, you know, the completion of the Mayan calendar, like that global awareness towards maybe our capacity to, you know, take our lives in our own hands and choose consciously to have a conscious awareness about something positive instead of just being thrown, you know, chaotically to the negative. I was wondering if you could comment on that and see if there's any sort of relationship between those two experiences.
That's a great question. Thanks for asking it, because in working with the Institute of Heart Math, we found that these experiences have been replicated, and now that they were on to looking for them, not only did they happen again with like the fall of the Egyptian government in Libya, but they happened on a very important day, 9/21/2012, International UN Peace Day. So people, and just like we set up the stage here tonight, we're taking our consciousness and our focus, and we are taking our heart energy and praying for peace, praying for stability. That affects the Earth. So they saw a magnetic spike in the Earth's fields with conscious, and I think that's what you're speaking to, conscious intention of creating peace and wholeness on Earth, not just reacting to the tragedy. So that's why this gathering was so synchronistically magnificent, and everybody's presence here in Sedona on the full moon to say we're here, and we collectively, and who knows how many people it takes, maybe 250 here, to create one of those spikes, you know, in the power center here on Earth, so that we are affecting the Earth from a conscious place of compassion and care.
Raise your hand if you have a question. I'll come to you. I have
It's not a question, it's an acknowledgement of you sharing your personal stories. The abuse that goes around the world to women and men is extraordinary, and for you to be able to be open and honest about this entire film, as long as it's taken to make, it's whole and complete as it is because of your story. And Skip, your story is profound, and thank you for being vulnerable and sharing that.
Thank you very much. And just her dealing with that issue of how much and what to tell her story to include it was, I mean, in itself a huge story, wasn't it?
It was not easy. We were going to put it in and take it out, and put it in and take it out. So it took a few years to make it complete.
Thank you.
And to put simply, it was a Herculean effort. It was no small effort, and to really be part of the support system to continue to dive deeper into the heart. That's really what occurred with the movie, is that as we got more involved in it, we got deeper into our own hearts. There's no longer, you know, telling the story. It is living what we're doing, which, you know, came across so beautifully with Skip's story as well, but with the prologue and Rana's, some of those before and after pictures are so striking, and it just pays homage to the amount of personal work that she is willing to do, and the bravery of her heart to be willing to share, and to be inspiration to others. And I just can't say enough good things about her for some reason.
Laura and I might both agree that had we known what we were in for, we may never have, you know, said we had, you know, taken on this. But once we got started, there was no turning back, and it was, and each step along the way was so worth it. So thank you.
So we have a question right in front here.
Yes. You didn't mention heart rate variable monitoring. Is that something that's important to know because you can actually see the changes?
Yeah, she said we didn't mention the heart rate variability monitor, which is an M-Wave from HeartMath, and it's a phenomenal instrument. It's basically it gives you feedback about what's happening with your autonomic nervous system, and you can get it from HeartMath. It's and they have a whole set of training with it, and a lot of the film that we shot with Rowan McCready and. I'm having a brain cramp right now. Oh, Deb, yeah, sorry, Deb Rosen was at the HeartMath Institute, and that was a very interesting place to go. But it's wonderful to be able to get feedback about your own state of coherence. having done the M-Wave, not quite as much as Rana, but a number of times, what I found personally really interesting, which I'm sure Sarah does with the meditation, is I started to hear my own little sub-vocalizations about things that were kind of in the background of my consciousness, but suddenly I can hear myself going, "Why did that guy turn his blinker on? I am pissed off right now." And I'm like, where's that come from? So it helps to uncover, some of the crustiness between the conscious and the unconscious.
I would say, I call it a veil of stress that keeps us from being in the present moment, that keeps us from being in tune with how we're feeling, it keeps us from making choices from the heart. And why I teach meditation, as just one of the tools, which I use the heart breath as well, is to remove that stress so that I can be fully right here, right now with you, and fully right here, right now, wherever that may be in my life. I love the Native Americans, how it's always now. It's always now. And so meditation for me helps remove that veil. Crusty, yes, but you can get it off.
Got a question right here in the back of the front section.
The film had a long list of distinguished contributors. Are there any contributors that you tried to get, but they would not cooperate or were available? Or are there any contributors that you would have liked to get?
Well, that's a question. I don't know, is Karen still here? No, she might have left. One of the reasons that this film happened was that Karen Kebney of Stellar Productions here in Sedona believed in me, believed in the project, and she opened the doorway to almost everybody in this film. And so it was just like the seeding in the full moon, it was synchronistic. Because we were filming at Gift in the Shift conference, and she just had that a couple weeks ago with Greg Braden. And Greg was one of the first supporters because Karen opened that doorway, and I'm so grateful for her. And then everybody that we asked, and there was no exception, everyone that we asked said, "Would you like to be part of this film, Sacred Journey of the Heart?" That's about all I had to say, and they said, "Sounds good. Yeah, we'll be part of it." And so it was just kind of like the sky was the limit, or in other words, as a producer, the budget was the limit. We could only go so many places, and we didn't have big budgets to do this film. And in fact, Skip contributed, Mr. Thomas contributed a huge amount of footage in a project that he did that brought Eufaula and many of the natives in. That wasn't part of what, Donald and I didn't go out and film these people. Skip did that 5 months before we ever met. And then he storyboarded this film. We just started shooting a bunch of stuff. We knew nothing about it. We knew nothing about making a film. So there wasn't any person that we said, "You want to be part of the film?" that really said no. There was one prominent person that wanted a lot of money to be in the film, but no. And we said, "Thank you very much, but that's not in the spirit," because nobody in this film said we want to get paid, or we want royalties, or we want licensing fees. So every single thing that happened in this happened synchronistically, including Dr. Joe Dispenza. I didn't really think I wanted him in the movie in the beginning, because he was a brain guy. So we didn't really want to have him part of this. And so then as we got 2 years into it, and we had to have a hiatus because Skip was doing his healing, and I was going, shoot, I can't show up in the movie like talking like this and looking like I'm a deer in the headlights. So we took some time off. And then we realized Dr. Joe Dispenza was really connecting with the heart a lot more. So if you want to hear like how phenomenal the synchronicities were, and I'll keep this as short as possible, we realized we wanted him to film, so we started calling Dr. Joe's assistant and saying, "Can we interview you?" And Karen had already previously introduced us to him. So about 6 months later, they called me on a Thursday, and I was teaching a workshop in Des Moines, Iowa, where I'm from. They said, "Okay, on Saturday you can interview Dr. Joe." And I called Skip, remember this? I called Skip, I said, "Skip, Skip's in Sedona. Could you give me a camera crew in Chicago? Because now we can interview Dr. Joe 2 days from now." He goes, "Well, I'll look on the internet, and I don't know anybody, but I'm going to give you a couple names." He called me back 10 minutes later, 2 names. He said, "They look pretty good to me." One name was Ned Miller. I liked the sound of it. It sounded good. So I called Ned Miller. He answered on the second ring. I said, "Ned Miller, this is Ronna Prince. We're making a movie. It's called Sacred Heart. It's a late night interview, probably 9 o'clock Saturday night, 2 days from now. You think you could do it?" He goes, "Oh, this sounds so phenomenal. It's right up what I would love to be able to do, but I have already the previous plan. I'm going to a $100 thing, I've got a ticket, it's non-refundable, and I can't go on Lewis, so I'm gonna have to turn you down. I said, Ned, could that be Dr. Joe Dispenza in Northbrook, Illinois? And he said, yes, it is. Now, so I got Dr. Joe Dispenza, and so I'm there, I'm already there, I'm just gonna put the cameras in the car, and I will film Dr. Joe. And Donald, who lives and works in the Chicago area, said, no problem, I'll interview him. I couldn't go there. And so that was a great question, I appreciate that, because that's how it all happened. There wasn't anything that we planned other than people saying yes to the title of the project and coming on board.
And that is the beauty of how our lives are unfolding. What you see here is a manifestation of what is vision from heart. Now, what you must understand is within this earth-touch connection that all people have, you must listen from that heart, and that connection is going to bring forth the awakenings, the illuminations, the clarities. Now, when you talk about looking for something, if you go aggressively looking for it, Spirit says it's not what I want. I am trying to allow for you to remember that you are my creation. Your journey is because I chose it to be that way. When you were birthed onto this Mother Earth, and that's inclusive of it, every two-legged that is birthed, there's a reason why you walk this journey. Don't allow for the intellect to step in and pull you away from what Spirit has in mind for you. Listen to the essence of a vibration. Listen to the essence of a movement, a thought, a light, a color, a texture, a smell. And when you see that, this is what manifests. The beauty of everything falling into the right places. And it's not just for what you see here or what you saw on film. That brings it into an awakening for all those that are going to see it. As they see that, you realize that your journey is just as profound and as meaningful as what you've seen up here. And the people, the journeys that they lead, each one of you leads also a very beautiful, profound journey. Let that unfold. Let it unfold in a way that we're all going to embody the essence of this greater source, this creator spirit. And it's going to allow for you to walk in that way that is good. And for you to be sitting here to listen, it is a great affirmation that we all are in the ready to do something. We may not necessarily know at this moment. Listen to the dreams, listen to the heart, look at all that is around you. It'll give you an idea. And with that, take that step. Thank you.
Question up here in the balcony.
I'm real curious about the distribution of this film. I would think it's quite different than other distributions. And do you anticipate, I don't think your costs are significant. Do you anticipate recovering your costs?
The question's about distribution?
And recovering your costs.
Oh, well, that's a good question.
Recovery.
We're learning about that. We had a 4-week run at Harkins in Scottsdale, and had a great crowd down there. And thousands of people saw the film, and then but the model is changing, and so we are in the process of learning about that. We have DVDs, and we happen to have them out here. They were gracious enough to let us sell them, and then we have a video on demand streaming coming online, so we're planning on sharing this. We can only sell in the United States, so on international streaming, we have people all over the world asking for this, with the speakers in the film putting it on Facebook. And then did you ask about future additional films? We have another project that we're getting started, we're excited about it.
I just want to say that I've seen this movie probably 20 times in different ways, different stages of development. And just because I think it's vital to have this DVD. I mean, I walked in today, it was a whole new movie. So it really depends on keep editing. I just came back from another country though, so another time zone. But I suggest that it's a great movie just to, we'll hear something different every time, just to refresh our awareness about how to walk through the world.
Yeah, when it was shown at the Harkins Theater, we had people coming back 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times. And when they were coming back, they were actually bringing pen and paper, and they were taking notes. You know, and I'm just like, I was so inspired and in awe of that, and it just speaks to how magnificent everyone in the movie is to put that much information together that people go, I'm going to see this again, and there's parts that I want to really make sure I understand, I can comprehend, and I can go back and look at later.
Any parting thoughts from up here? They're gonna be in the back. We've got DVDs for sale at the table, and they'll all be out there. They can sign them. You can ask them more questions. Anything? Anyone? You put things so beautifully. I almost wanted to end on that, but anything you want to add before we close?
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Russell. Thank you all for being part of this. Thank you. And thank you, John. You guys are